to just share with you how I was feeling over the last 6 months. So the second thing was I was feeling heavy, as if I was carrying around a weight. A lot of people can probably relate to that because I have heard people use those phrases before and I've never really understood what they're talking about, but I honestly felt heavy. I would say 90% of the time. I would walk around and go through the motions. That's where I reference feeling like I was in a fog. I felt like I was going through the motions of life. I was getting up, I was eating breakfast, I was doing all these things that I normally, to a certain degree, would do to try and move myself through something that I would, have trouble going through, but nothing was working. And then we've also got overwhelming urges to cry. So I had that, and it would strike me randomly. I would start feeling really, really sad and start feeling hopeless, and I would cry. I would just cry, and I wouldn't really know what I was crying about. I just knew that I was sad, and I felt like I needed to cry because I felt so alone and I felt so hurt. I felt so sad that was one of the only outlets and one of the only ways I felt I could really release what I was feeling inside. And I would, for the most part, do that in private because I'm also one of those people who, like many others, you don't want to make other people sad, so you feel, hey, I'm going to keep this to myself and I'm just going to take on this burden and not bother other people. But, other people do want to support you through this, and we'll talk about that later. So I felt very conflicted about my life. For a lot of you who are maybe in your 20s or 30s, there's a lot of big life decisions that you'll come across, and it's normal to feel as though this decision or this choice is the make or break. This choice or this decision is the make or break. Which path should I take? Which one's the right one? Which one's the wrong one? And we'll also touch on that as far as, being able to make really any choice and being at peace with it and knowing that it's the right thing to do and it's going to lead to a healthier you and a healthy path for you in life. The other thing was life felt empty and dull and life had lost its vibrancy. So something about that is I would go hang out with friends, and when I took my visits to see friends in Las Vegas, or when I took that trip out to California, and even when I spent time with friends, because I was reaching out, like I said, I was doing all these things that I normally knew, would help me recover from feelings that aren't fun, but it wasn't working. They would work on the surface level and I would have a good time with my friends and it would be great because maybe temporarily on the surface I would forget about all of these conflicting thoughts and feelings inside of me, but once that excitement of the moment died down and it went away, or when I was alone or I had time to think to myself, I would start thinking about the place I was in again. I would start thinking about, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. I don't know which direction I should go, because I felt I did have a lot of options. I could try to reapply to OCS. I could move somewhere new and pursue something in the public affairs or communication industry, because that's what my degree is in. I could dive into fitness because I have certifications in fitness. I had all these different directions I could go in, and I just didn't know what to do. So over the course of the last 6 months, I was basically walking around in a fog and hoping that it would subside. That's what was happening. I honestly didn't see it ending. I didn't see the end of the tunnel. I didn't see myself feeling any better, and it just compounded. I remember talking to my parents and just breaking down, saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm feeling this way, and I want to feel better. And I know that other people are going through, much worse things, which sometimes is something we try to use to rationalize to ourselves and say, hey, what you're going through is not that hard. You can't minimize what you're feeling. That's one thing I would tell you if you're going through something like this. Don't minimize your feelings. Really take the time to assess why you're feeling the way you are and be open to talking to people that you trust and people who care about you, people who know have your best interests at heart, and be willing to tell them how you're feeling so that they can sort of help you piece together this puzzle. Because that's what happened for me over time. Over time, I would talk to friends who I knew, like I said, had my best interest at heart, cared for me, and were patient. That was key. Because think about having the same conversation basically for 6 months. That's what my friends had to endure, my friends and my family. Having basically the same conversation over and over again for 6 months and hearing someone cry almost for 6 months. And I know some of you are shaking your heads, you're going, oh my gosh, I would have stopped being your friend, or I would have told you that you need to get help. But I'll say that you need patient people around you who truly care and truly love you. So let them help you piece together this puzzle over time. I'm not saying that one person is going to have the answer to everything, because that's not how it happened for me. It was over time. People gave me little breadcrumbs, is what I'll call them, and they gave me pieces of the puzzle that eventually ended up working to create one big picture, and one evening it clicked. And so I'll tell you about that evening.